got a pretty good group of guys. Got a pretty good group of guys that subscribe and watch my channel. Quite a few Ford technicians from dealerships that check it out and comment. So on the diagnosis of the rollback, the diagnostics could be carried a little further. You can always go a little. I'm going to try to cobble my thoughts together as best I can. As I was saying, I had a bit of an interruption there. You can always take your diagnostics a little further, you know. And when I unplugged the DEF pressure sensor and the concern cleared up, I stopped. I said, well, we need a sensor. But, you know, there were some comments. Power Stroke Tech Talk with A-Rod. Excellent Ford tech up in Michigan somewhere. And M. Chan, good friend of mine up in Canada. Another just excellent Ford tech. You know, they were mentioning something, it could still be something with the wiring. They had run into issues with the wiring, or Power Stroke had run into some issues with the wiring. And, you know, looking out for me, and I really appreciate that. So I was like, well, you know, it could be. I mean, we could have a problem with the, you know, if the 5-volt reference and the harness was short in the ground, it wouldn't have made a difference if I unplugged it or not. And if the signal return was shorted straight to ground, that would make a difference, because the when the component was connected, it would complete a circuit for the 5 volts to go straight to the old frame there. And then when I unplugged it, it cleared up. So to expedite things, make things go quickly, I just happen to have an old pump. I didn't have a pump here at the shop, but I had like 3 dozen of these things at the school. So I picked one up Sunday and brought it with me today. Now this all happened on Saturday, and today's Monday. And the part has arrived actually. But before I put the part on, I've got a pump. Now this pump's bad, the pump's no good, but the sensor is okay. So let's just pop the sensor out of here and plug it in, and if the concern goes away, then we know 100% without any shadow of a doubt that we need a pump. That way I don't have to start looking around for shaped wires and, you know, just spend a ton of time diagnosing. Still got some DEF fluid on it. So that's it. That's the pressure sensor. Let's plug it into the truck and see what happens. So here's the connector. Plug it in. We'll see if our gauge goes back up. So that's unplugged. That's plugged in. So this has been sitting at the school for probably a year, and I just took this out and it's crystallized. Once it gets into the air, crystallization pretty quickly. So let's plug it in. So just simply plug this old girl in. It's our known good tester. We're plugged in. And we should not show a boost gauge going out of whack. And we're good. So that made it pretty cut and dry. The old swap gnostics comes in real handy sometimes. cuts down on, you know, just having to really sort it out. I mean, it's a time when you need to, but man, when you just change it out with a known good part, it makes life easier, especially when you're flat rate. And that's, you know, that's one thing that, you know, gives flat rate industry a bad name, is because people are in a hurry. They're, you know, if 10 vehicles come in and they don't start, they click when you turn the key. You put 10 starters on each one of them without diagnosing it. Fixes 9 but doesn't fix 1. Some places they're okay with that. They're like, well, we saved all that money and time and effort on 9, we can live with the 1. So I try not to be that way. You know, and these, you know, Aaron and Mr. Chan, they got me thinking over the weekend. I could have very easily put a pump on it and not fix the concern, and I'd have been upset about it, because it's a lot easier to repair a wire than to put a part on. Once you put a part on and it doesn't fix it, you've kind of, you know, married the vehicle, and you got some explaining to do. Or you got to take the part back off and eat it, or something like that. But I had a good feeling. You know, every vehicle has its own isolated incidents, and I had a pretty good feeling this was going to fix it, so I didn't go any further. But there's always that chance. So I actually did bring it back in and check it before. You know, I didn't even know the part was here. They just told me the part came in a minute ago. So let's see, it's 3:23. I should have enough time to change this out. Let's change this pump out, and then I don't have time to take it for a ride today. I gotta go to school, but we'll put the part on, and then in the morning we'll clear the codes out and do a drive cycle and make sure everything's okay and release it to the customer. So you can't get just this sensor, you gotta get the whole ball of wax. So we will pop this pump off here, freshen it up. Kind of like doing a DEF sender, except I'll fool with all that, because you got to take the pump off to do the sending unit. So this is just like half the step, and as you can see, this is super easy because we're going to take the tank out. Take them when we can get them. The biggest thing with something like this is you don't want to drop crud down in there, because we're not replacing the sending unit, so you don't want a bunch of dirt to fall down in here. This one's pretty clean, should be okay. There's our pump. We need these 2 O-rings out of here. Here's our new part. Brand new pump, and guess what? These are where I get my plugs from. So we've got 3 plugs added to my collection. The seal kit, some bolts, and instructions on how to prime it. A syringe to prime it with. Let's take a little DEF fluid, pour it up into a container, pull this into our syringe. It doesn't seal the best in the world. I didn't get much in here. Let's see what happens. So I just take this, stick it in the supply, and then push it until we get fluid out the output. I really hate the oil supply around here. It should push right out. See the fluid flowing out? So we're primed. We'll just cap this off. This is all trash now. Get that off of there. So the customer doesn't think they have a leak. Put our new hardware on. I talked about this before, but this large seal will go in the sending unit. We don't put them both on here. The little guy goes on here though. So put the little guy on there. And lube it up with some DEF fluid. Alright. And we'll take the big one, put it on the sending unit, and then this will slide down over it. I'll tell you that the nuts and bolts of these things are super simple. The diagnostics aren't. That's another whole nother story. But when it comes to actually slinging parts, man, there ain't nothing to the parts on these things. Alright, so let's see here. Can you see that? So we're going to put the big guy down in there, make sure it's flush. We'll lube it up a little bit. Lube this guy up a little bit. We're just using DEF fluid. We'll stick it in there. Plops right down on there. You really can't mess it up. Of course, if we do mess it up, we'll know pretty quickly, because if we do a leak test, this is super easy to see. Alright, injector's plugged in, pump's plugged in, reverting valve, pressure valve, all good there. Good to go. Now we can slide the bed back to where it belongs. So once we confirm that the system can operate correctly in the bay, then we're going to do 3 light accelerations with a 6-second no throttle decel, no brake pedal decel. So we'll get her up to 50 miles an hour. I need a steady mount, cam mount. So I'm going to decelerate for 6 seconds. Light acceleration back up to 50. Decelerate. Light acceleration. Decelerate. It's kind of bouncy with no weight on them. Now we're going to do 3 hard blasts. So we're just going to nail the throttle. And then we'll decelerate. Do it again. We'll decelerate. What we're looking at is the ejector to spray. I gotta get on the side. Let me let this guy pass me. He's gonna get mad at me. Anyway, what we're looking at is we're looking for this injector to spray. So you can see, you might not be able to see with the glare. You can see the injector spray in there, and if we let off the throttle, it's not spraying. If we stab it, really putting the DEF fluids on it. That's what it's looking for. We gotta get our exhaust up. So we're at 460. So now it'll start actually counting. We'll keep an eye on the gauge here. That was 1. That was 2. Let's slow down a little bit more. This is number 3. Parkway here. The exhaust keeps cooling down, so we're back down below 410 degrees, 419 degrees. We gotta keep the temperature up. There's no weight on this truck though. It's as light as a feather with just that bed on the back of it. So we'll get through this red light and get on the parkway here. Kinston Freeway. And we did down below 390 degrees. Just in the nick of time. So I don't know if you were watching, but the instrument cluster went back to normal, reading our mileage and normal stuff, temperature outside, all that good stuff. So we're good to go. So we are going to head back to the shop. We're going to do a courtesy DEF top off because it's under warranty, and recheck it for codes. Had a pretty harsh glare there, so kind of shut the door down to the bed. Try to combat that. So I went and drove the old girl and got her out of our speed limited modes. Now we're going to, we had a code that didn't quite disappear, so we're going to recheck this thing for codes. One of them kind of hung out there. Get a powertrain, let's go right to engine. Key on engine on demand. Let's see if that clears out this time. A couple things you got to really be careful, watch out for on these drive cycles is you got to really keep an eye on your exhaust temperatures. You got to be at a certain temperature before anything will register and read. So, you know, I did quite a few wide open throttle blasts that didn't count. They didn't go against our three-time counter because the exhaust was too cold. So once I finally got it warmed up, then the 3 started taking into effect. This 204E is not wanting to disappear initially. Hopefully it did after the drive. Alright, so I just popped back into the Ford's computer, and I thought I saw this message the other day. It's about you just can't get these codes to clear out. It just has to be driven. So here's a 204E, and basically it's saying that the mill's out and no DEF fluid messages, you're good to go, which we are. Just a cab chassis. Chassis holds about 6 gallons, so we're at 100% already, so it shouldn't take any more than 2.5. Could take a little, could take a lot. We shall see. So I happen to have about a gallon here. Give her a little splash and go. That's it, that's all it takes. So we took about 3/4 of a gallon, not quite 3 liters. They measure this stuff in liters, not gallons. So this one's good to go. Put it in the books as never ran into this problem before. Thought it was pretty neat. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Got extremely lucky. I mean, first sensor I unplugged was it, and it wasn't a wiring issue. It was actually a component failed. DEF systems, they're a thorn in the customer's side because this truck's been out of service for, let's see, they dropped it off Friday. Today's Tuesday. Now, if we were a bigger dealer, we may have had the part in stock. You know, even if I had figured it out Friday, I might have could have had it running Friday. But just the way it worked out, they've been out of this vehicle the whole time. Excuse me. So it's runs great. It's a brand new truck, and everything's good to go now. And we are going to. I'm going to put it out, call the customer, and move on to the next project, which will be, I think he just told me that customer towed one in that putting DEF fluid in the fuel tank. So that is not going to be a good thing for the customer. Thank you for watching, and until next time.